Well, hello everybody out there in YouTube land. This is James. We're going to start delving into philosophy and other serious topics. Um, I want to start though, kind of ease my way in by talking about this story. It's Kafka's The Hunger Artist, and I want to kind of talk about some things that I thought about it. Um, when I read it, and when I read a lot of short stories, I'm looking for a big picture message. Not necessarily like a moral to take away from the story, but um, since I write stories and I'm usually trying to communicate a theme and maybe a few um, messages within the message, within the theme, um, I try to look for that in other short stories, and usually I can pick apart one or another. Um, but for Kafka's The Hunger Artist, I simply, it just kind of dawned on me. It like hit me all of a sudden. What if he was talking about repressed homosexuality? Um, there's that there's this imagery that Kafka uses where the hunger artist is being taken out of the cage after 40 days, and there's these two women that help him out of the cage, and he he absolutely hates this ceremony when they take him out of the cage, and um, and he doesn't like the fact that they have to take him out of this cage. He wants to fast more. Um, and I think it's very the imagery is so powerful in that uh, you see him just rejecting everything about being taken out of the cage. The two women being fed this morsel of food, and um, the uh, the overseer is kind of looking at trying to show, oh look, we pulled him out just before he died, or just before he was about to die, kind of thing. They're trying to play up uh, the dramatic side of it. Uh, Now, when I spoke to others about Kafka's Hunger Artist, I they were seemed to be more focused on the art, and I mean, I guess that's okay. I feel like that kind of misses the point, um, but that's okay. So their discussion, their interest was in what is art. Is it communication? Is it expression? Um, and uh, if it's communication um, because the artist is trying to convey a message with their art. Uh, or if it's expression because the artist is expressing what they feel, think, whatever, something. They're expressing something. But I don't think those two are mutually exclusive. Um, I mean, they could be one or the other, but I don't think they're mutually exclusive in that you can communicate through expressing yourself. When you express yourself, you're communicating um, things that you may not be able to articulate, your thoughts, feelings. Um, uh, Maybe you're spiritually transforming, or going through a spiritual metamorphosis, so to speak, and you start painting or you start creating music and you whatever, you're communicating that this is going on. And um, maybe you just wanted to get it out. It wasn't necessarily meant for other people to understand what it was. but even so, you're still communicating something. Um, Interestingly enough, that led into a discussion about artist intent, which is tricky because I mean, like I'm reading. Well, I mean, we can't talk to Kafka. We can't ask him what was your intended. What did you intend to communicate? What did you intend to express to the reader of The Hunger Artist? Um, and so it's tricky to say, oh, we need to consider artist intent when we're reading a bunch of dead guys and some dead women. Um, it's it's tricky, really, really, really tricky. But I think there is some value in looking at author's intent, artist intent, um, because obviously, if you are reading, and I'll this is reductio ad absurdum, but if you're reading a Dr. Seuss book, okay, Cat in the Hat, and you start trying to pull apart um, the characters, thing one and thing two, and you try to, I don't know, you try to draw some huge meaning out of these two characters and their significance in the story. I think that's the kind of thing that's where artist intent gets really, really annoying, and it gets in the way of understanding and appreciating art. Um, Whereas on the other hand, you have like for my Humanities 2 class, I'm reading Hamlet, and for for a while we were kind of debating, well, is Hamlet crazy or is he not? And we were trying to figure out, well, yeah, he says he's not crazy. He says he's looking for he's looking for a way to get revenge on his on his father's killer, um, but he also is extremely eccentric and at times does not seem entirely in control of himself. For example, when he kills uh, Polonius, um, right after he's kind of like, "Oh my, I was kind of that was not smart," you know. It's like, okay, and you're not crazy, but I think in that instance we can go back to the stories that Shakespeare based Hamlet off of, such as Amleth, which is in the History of the Danes by Saxo Grammaticus, uh, and we can read the original story and see that um, Hamlet is supposed to be in control of his mental faculties. Granted, he's really, really pissed off. He's very motivated to get revenge, um, especially after his father comes to him as a ghost. Uh, but I just think going back to artist intent, I think you have to be really careful about trying to say, oh, well, we don't, the author clearly did not intend to say this, he intended to say that, or she intended to say this instead of that. That's that's tricky. Unless we have some support to suggest one way or another what they intended to say to us, um, to express or to communicate to us, then it seems fallacious. Fallacious. It seems ridiculous to say, oh, well, my opinion is right because I believe this was the author's intended meaning, and you're wrong. But I would Now that I've gone on for over 10 minutes, how about you tell me what you think? Do you agree with me that The Hunger Artist is possibly about repressed homosexuality? Or maybe you have another thought. Oh, and maybe you could explain to me what the significance of the panther is. Um, Maybe you have some different thoughts on art, whether it's communication or expression. Are those two terms mutually exclusive, or artist intent? Uh, and how does that factor in with people interpreting something that may not have been intended to be interpreted that way? Give me your thoughts, and I'll see you around. Be safe and take care.